Hi there, it's Kevin with GatheringMagic.com with this week's episode of the Rogues Alley. This week we are going to try out a Simic Sanity deck. This deck is utilizing the Fraying Sanity from the good old Hour of Devastation, which says at the beginning of each end step, enchanted player puts the top X cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, where X is the number of cards put into that graveyard from anywhere this turn. So we're obviously going to enchant our opponent and then have a mill-based strategy to try to mill out our opponent. So there's some pretty good mill cards in Standard at the moment, the best one being the Ministry of Inquiries. Ministry of Inquiries is a 1/2 that comes into play with 2 energy counters, and then you can pay an energy to have a player put the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. Pretty efficient for a 1-drop, and we are going to run an energy strategy to support it with cards like Rogue Refiner and Longtusk Cub, as well as Attune with Aether, as well as Aether Hub. Between that, we'll have a lot of energy production. And we also want one other outlet to get rid of the energy of excess energy. We don't want it to be reliant on Minister. That's going to be the Shielded Aether Thief. This is a pretty good card against aggro. It's a 0/4. It's also pretty good against control, as it can draw you a lot of cards. Dodges the lightning strikes and the magma sprays and the shocks. And whenever it blocks, you get an energy. You can pay 3 energy to draw a card. So I think those are the most efficient uses of our energy. The other mill-based strategy is on the Ipnu Rivulet, and to guarantee that we have the Ipnu Rivulets, we are going to be running the Hour of Promise. Hour of Promise searches your library for up to 2 land cards, and they can be any lands, and puts them on the battlefield. If you control 3 deserts, you'll get 2 2/2 black zombie creatures. This is pretty good for helping you stabilize, helping you kind of chump block. I've actually won with aggro, actually, because Longtusk Cub, Rogue Refiner are actually very aggressive cards, and I have actually beat down my opponent before. That's the overall deck tech. So far, it's a pretty 50-50 list. I think I actually am 50-50 in the playtest of the deck, so hopefully we can bump it up a little more, and we'll play 4 games and 1 on my channel and see how we do. You can follow along in the comment section as well as in the description for the timestamps of the games, and let's get underway. All right, match number 1. Yes, we'd like to play first. This is a pretty good hand. We have both the Navigator and the Fraying Sanity. No creature at the moment, but we are playing a low creature count. I think this is keepable. We have so many outs here. A land, a Attune with Aether, a creature, all gets us to where we want to be. We'll just start off with a forest. I don't want to give any information out of what we're doing on turn number 1. Turn number 2 will probably put out the Rivulet unless we draw an island or something that we can actually play. Of course, it gives us the 1-drop after the fact. We have to pay a life for this, but sure, it's worthwhile. And this is a pretty good start because we have it could get Fatal pushed, but we do have the Fraying Sanities. Next turn that will attach on our opponent, and we will start the mill. Unless something like a Cub comes out that I think I have to bounce back. Do we want to wait a turn with that? Can it kill my... This is interesting, because I could Winds it and set my opponent back, or I can just start with the Fraying Sanity. The problem is we could lose our Minister with the Hepatra. Yeah, I think I'd rather just set my opponent back a turn. I actually should have done... No, I want to do it now, I think. And a Soulscar Mage, we do get rid of the Dragon Skull Summit. We don't find a land of our own, so that's good news. I don't know if that's the right player, or I should have progressed my board state with the Fraying Sanity. And I'm sure my opponent will throw back down the Hepatra. And my opponent did have a Dragon Skull Summit anyway, so maybe that second one was useless, but see if Hepatra comes back out. Sure. We'll mill some more. So yeah, Fatal Push comes, that's fine. And we get double on the Soulscar Mage and a Nahab. So a Brew, which was always fun to play against. So I've got some options next turn. I think we'll go with the Shielded Aether Thief, blocking Hapatra. There's another Winds of Rebuke. I could just go Fraying Sanities here. I think I'll just put out the Fraying Sanities, get it going. Would love to, of course, draw into a land. We've been kind of starved there. Haven't drawn a land since we kept the 3 lands. An Aether Hub is in the deck as well. And there's the 4th Soulscar Mage. Pretty crazy. So Glorybringer is going to be exiled. And the rest can go to the hand. Does draw my opponent a lot, but that's fine. We actually want our opponent to kind of help us mill there. And there is a Hapatra coming down. So we need to hit into a land. And then we should be pretty good. My opponent's going to have to mill another card. And it is an unlicensed disintegration. So there's the Aether Hub. So I think we just sit tight. And we'll bounce back one of our opponent's cards. My opponent is in range for that Glorybringer, number 2. But if that's the case, we'll Winds it back. Before it can attack. Now, we'll just wait till after attack. It doesn't really matter too much. My opponent will be out of red sources with the Aether Hub as well. So we have to lose a life here, but we do get to block with the Shielded Aether Thief. And only take 1. Well, we'd have to, pay this life. That's annoying. Get 2 more of the sources. I love to hit, of course, a land next turn for the Hour of Promise. Our opponent has to mill some more, finds 2 more lands. We do. My opponent has pretty good lands in hand. Unfortunately, we missed the land drop, but I think I'm going to do another Fraying Sanities. I don't know if I can do it out of life now. Oh, this is awkward. Yeah, missing that land was very rough. Because my opponent draws another red source. Yeah, I think we need to play it safe. I'd love to draw a card off of the 5 cards still in my opponent's hand too, so that's rough. But we do have the double Fraying Sanities. Equals with this would be 4, then 4, so 8, and then 16 would go to the graveyard. So we need another good mill card. That comes into play tap. That's actually very key because it requires the Glorybringer a whole other turn. But again, my opponent has a lot of... All right, so let me do some math here. If we can mill my opponent because we have 2 turns we need it to survive. And I do have the land base, or the mana base for... Yep, hit another Hour of Promise. Glorybringer's coming out next turn, so I just die. Yeah, we were close. But we only drew 1 land in that entire spiel, which is very unlucky. Because I can't go Navigator's Rune doesn't do anything for me, plus I don't have... Because I just mill 4, lose it, and then I die on the backswing, so... Thing is, if we survived a turn, that's... Yeah, it is. I think our opponent might be down to 1, depending on if they cast a card. Because at the end of this turn, we're milling 4, and then 4, so 16 gets milled. All my opponent needs to do is cast a Glorybringer, and it just wins here. If my opponent exerts. Okay, there's the exert. Pretty crummy. We'll go on to the sideboard. There's the land, next card. I'm not sure. Yeah, actually, the Hour of Promise would have allowed us to block, and we would have been fine, I believe. I think I'm going to bring in the Scavengers, the Aether, everything like the Confiscation Coups, the Winds of Rebuke, Aether Meltdowns. All of these come in. We're just going to go the anti-aggro strategy. Stuff like the Navigator's Rune become weak. Like, they're good for... yeah, I think that... Eventually, you just have to get to the Fraying Sanity and just sit tight. So, cards like the Winds of Rebuke are kind of awkward. I'm not sure that I care too much about sending, like, I don't like it versus Glorybringer type strategies. I think we're going to take these out. We do want to have the creatures clog up the board. I don't know if I actually do need a Winds of Rebuke in this particular match. The Confiscation Coup is pretty good, though. We get to take care of problematic cards like Glorybringers, I think is worthwhile. 3 cards I got to get rid of. The Thieves, I don't know. Yeah, I think we need to keep the Thieves. Attune with Aether is fine to get rid of, I think, at this point. Because we particularly don't... We play a pretty heavy land at 24. And pretty low converted mana cost. So, I think that's what we'll do. Well, this obviously is not a keep. And this is going to be rough for us. We do have the first turn. Oh, this is actually pretty good. We have our win con with a Minister and a Shield Aether Thief. That can hopefully get there. And this doesn't matter. I think we're actually going to put this on top and not use the Aether first turn. So let's go Desert. Ooh, we're going to go Aether Hub. I think we go Aether Hub here to get out the Minister. Next turn we do have the Fraying Sanities, but we're going to use the Attune with Aether to go get a blue source, I would say, at this point. No, a green source. We have the Desert. And we'll play the Desert as well. So not sure if I want to use all of my... No, we have plenty of energy because we'll Attune. Grab a green source, play, and now we can start the mill. And then we'll have Fraying Sanities come down. I think we need to get it down as quick as possible. There's an Aether Hub, so this could potentially put out Hapatra. And that would change what I play. Let's start the mill. Vraska and another Hapatra and a Soulscar Mage. Those are pretty decent mills there. And there's a Deathgorger Scavenger. That actually makes things interesting, but I think it's still... It can block Hepatra and require something to get rid of it, but I think the Shielded Aether Thief is just better at the moment. My opponent's missing black. Here comes the Aether Thief. Now I gotta decide if I want to mill. I believe I still want to mill. And there's a Soulscar Mage. Opponent can draw those guys like a champ. And we get rid of another black source and a Torment of Hailfire. My opponent's deck is all over the place. Okay, so Fraying Sanities I think is the right play next turn. Geez, these Hour of Promises. Maybe I should have cut one of those. There's the Dragonskull Summit, so there is the potential of Unlicensed Disintegration hitting. We'll use the Aether Thief to generate an energy. Magma Spray. Happens on the Aether Thief. So we'll lose the Shielded Aether, but still generate some energy. Another Vraska goes to the bin. And there's a Sword Point Diplomacy. And we're going to exile both of these. Take a ton of life, but my opponent is milled pretty good. If we lose both these games because Hour Promise is getting stuck in my hand, that's going to be terrible, but it is what it is. 5 cards go to my opponent's graveyard. All right, so we do get closer to the Hour of Promise. And here I do believe we need to Deathgorger Scavenger to gain some life. However, I do believe we need to block Hepatra again. So we're at the mercy of whatever my opponent has. If we can get the land next turn, though, that the Hour Promises are going to give us some good stabilization. I mean, that's what they're in here for. Three Glorybringers are in my opponent's... No, that's in the reveal. There's 2 in the exile. Do we get another revealed somewhere? No, there shouldn't have been anything revealed. Another Sword Point Diplomacy. So allow my opponent just to have all of them. The Amid Eternal, I think I got to get rid of. Scorpion God's okay. And unfortunately, we have to make this block, even though I assume there's another Hapatra in my opponent's hand. No. Okay, good. So we need to land here. Aether Meltdown's okay. It puts a... I mean, it gives us some more Minister activations. My opponent does have a Ribbons in hand, though. Oh, gross. Or Ribbons in the graveyard. Yeah, maybe I should have sided out the Hour Promises. I don't know. I think they're good, though. If I get to 5, it gives two zombies that block. Gives me 2 more Rivulets or Aether Hubs at that point. Wish there was like a Desert that gained life. Is there one that gains life when it comes into play? I think this one does damage, but... Yeah, I don't care about Nahab. Nahab's actually very weak here. Wants lands, huh? So I can just block. It'll get 1 after the fact. So yeah, we can just block the... Yeah, it could get a shock after the fact, or a Magma Spray after the fact. If I don't melt down on the snake. How much do we care about Nahab next turn? I think we need to keep my guy alive, so I'm actually going to melt down the snake. This seems bad, but I think I've milled. Because my opponent doesn't get any Magma Spray post. Yeah, 0 mana here. So let me do the math. Because a bunch is going to the graveyard again. 13. Yes, we haven't milled. That's, yep. We just untap and mill. We just see the entire deck. Oops, what? Should have looked at that. Oh, we can still look. So it's just, we've seen it all. Braids, Manolith, Hapatra, bunch of Sword Point Diplomacies. Those are actually extremely good. I'm impressed with the Sword Point Diplomacies. A mono black aggro list, or at least a red black, is looking really good with that card. So... Again, I don't like the Navigator's Ruin in this one. The Winds is actually a lot better than I think I'm giving it credit for. I think we're going to take out 2 Hour Promises, take out an Attune, and put in 3 Winds. I don't know. I think it's just better to get us there. The Cut Ribbon's kind of awkward for us. Maybe I don't need like Longtusk Cubs in here at all. They just can play the... Because we took out all of the... Yeah, I don't... We took out all of the... Deathgorger Scavenger actually doesn't seem the greatest. How... Yeah, well, I guess I have the Winds now to bounce back things. I don't know. I think that taking out Longtusk and Attunes is not... Maybe just Hour of Promises are a card I don't want to deal with again. Because my Longtusk Cubs actually can take this game over. So I do want the Attunes. And maybe we don't care about confiscating anything. I mean, Hephatra's kind of meh. And I'll take out an Attune, I believe. Yeah, we're just going to go more of its energy type list to try to stabilize as best as possible. Unfortunately, we miss the land, or the... I don't know if I keep this. Yeah, we're going to keep it because we can cycle away the desert. And we're on the draw. So we do need to find a green source, but there's a lot of cards we can draw into, and we do have that cycle, so I'm okay with this. And the Shield Aether Thief does seem to give our opponent a little bit of a problem. There's our Minister of Inquiries. Let the mill begin. So for not a turn to Hephatra again, but then we do have the Shielded Aether Thief, so my opponent is missing the green source at this point. Could be just a Braid on a Minister of Inquiries. I'll take it. Okay, that's fine. So we can either cycle the Desert Mindful, or... Oh, there's Botanical Sanctum, so that makes it easy for us. We're just going to cub it up. And we do have kind of the Teamer Energy draw here. So if opponent's already blown a Braid on a Minister of Inquiries, we might just go the attack route with the Aethersphere Harvester. See if my opponent just... Yep, okay, a Fatal Push on the Cub. Had the removal draw. We have a Scavenger that can come out. Is Scavenger better than a Harvester? I like the Harvester here because we can start attacking with it. Next turn with the Rogue Refiner. It's also a great blocker against Glorybringers, which we know my opponent is really good at drawing. Thought about putting Essence Scatter in the list, but I wanted to be more proactive than reactive. Winds of Rebuke. We'll play this and throw out a Rogue Refiner. See if there's Unlicensed Disintegration. There's not, so that 3 life is actually pretty relevant. There's Glorybringer. That is pretty bad for us. If it exerts it, though, where just kills a Refiner. And the race is on. We'll Deathgorger Hydra, or Deathgorger Scavenger. All right, so now we want our Hour of Promises. Now that we have the mana. However, we'll just Deathgorger Scavenger. I'm going to exile a card from my own graveyard to gain some life. Hopefully there's not another Glorybringer in my opponent's hand. And now we're flooded with lands. Oh, looks like another Glorybringer. We'll bounce it back. But that's not the greatest play. Because we still need to crew our stupid Harvester. And at the moment, Fraying Sanity is kind of awkward. Yeah, that's very awkward. I mean, we'll play it. It gives us an alternate win con. Do I get in for 4 damage? Nothing worth. I can gain 3 life this way. Three life or 2 life and 3 damage. 3 life and 3 damage. I don't know if this is the right play or not. And the problem is my opponent only needs to exert one of these Glorybringers. That's the one card that is going to give us the most problem in this deck, is going to be Glorybringer. I'm assuming that's what it's coming down again. And every game they've had, this could be a Vraska actually, it's coming down. Ugh. Alright, so I don't think Fraying Sanity is actually that big of an issue at the moment. We can kill Vraska with a Harvester crewed, if we can crew it. Oh, geez. Magma Spray off the treasure. And didn't attack in. Why not? You don't have to. Oh, wants to keep Vraska alive. Okay, I see. So I wish I would have kept in the Confiscation Coups. At least we get to draw a card off of this. That's horrible. It's also horrible. So now the Hour of Promises would be amazing. Is what it is, though. And we're going to lose our poor old shielded. Vraska should probably just create a 2/2. And we know another Glorybringer's in hand. So but I had kind of a slow hand with a bunch of removal, which would have been really good if we would have had like the Fraying Sanities early hands last time. Like some heavy minister hands. But I don't know if there's any way we can come back from this. My opponent should exert and kill. Yep. And just do a regular one. And we needed those lands. Or needed those lands to be non-lands. Like the Winds is pretty pointless at this stage in the game. Do I wait for Fraying Sanities for the wins? I don't know. I don't think there's a way out of this, actually. So we've taken out all of the things that might, like the River's Rebuke, that might get us back into this, is not going to. One card's still in my opponent's hand. I mean, we're both flooded, but Swordplay Diplomacy would be the good card left in hand. And I just have to get rid of the Torment of Hailfire. But that allows for... yeah, Vraska and Fatal Push. Fatal Push is actually pretty good. And we draw into another Scavenger Ground. So the Flood was real, that one. Yeah, I don't think you take out Our Promise. I think it's too good. It's bad versus the Glorybringers, but would have helped thin us out, put some 2/2 pressure. Maybe bringing in the Scavenger was the wrong move because it just dies to everything my opponent does. And I think I went too heavy on trying to control what my opponent did, and I didn't have enough ways to actually deal with what I was doing or mill my opponent. But anyway, we'll go on to the next match. All right, match number 2. This is a pretty good hand. We have the Longtusk Cub and the Ruin, so we're going to keep it. We have the 4 lands, so let's avoid getting stuck on 4 with our Promises or drawing all lands. That's what I would like to do. And unfortunately, there is a land first off, so we'll just start off with a Forest pass turn. I also thought about building this more of a Sultai list, not the Navigator's Ruin. And actually the throwing in like cards like Pasiganti's Machinations, because it adds just this really good stream of energy with cards like the Ipnu Rivulet. But even like Fatal Pushes, Duresses, things like that to proactively get rid of my opponents. Fraying Sanity can also be a very good card just with control, because it means every card you destroy or make that your opponent discard mills another card. So we're going up against a Dinosaur deck, and my opponent got a Rootbound Crag. So I think we'll go Hub here. And I want to avoid drawing lands and drew 2 of them. Womp womp. And the Cub, unfortunately, is going to bite the dust to a Fatal Push, most likely. But as a decent start, we can Winds of Rebuke something. Yep, it gets cut. So that puts us in a damper here. Drew another land. And I think we're okay right now, just put out the Ruin. But we are very far behind now with drawing 3 lands. Our Promise would be okay, but if this is Fraying Sanity, it'd be a lot better. Again, Navigator's Ruin is an experiment. I don't know if it's going to work out. It is you want renewable mill sources, but I think I need to find a better evasive. I wish there was some sort of like hexproof card that would work well with it. They're Ranging Raptors. And we did get another land, so I think we'll put out just the Rivulet here. And we have a Winds of Rebuke too. Throw back the Ranging Raptors if we need to. The Drover's another card we could throw back. Yeah, I'm just going to let this happen. I think throwing the Drover back is better. Possibly do we need to run more gain life type cards. A Braid and a Huntmaster. There's a Minister of Inquiries coming out late as usual. That's our prompt. So I thought about putting the Desert Thing Exile lands become a 3/4 as well. I think we do need to put a 1/of. It gives us another option. But for this, I think I'm just going to get the Cycling lands because I don't want them coming to play tapped. So just 1 of each. And we get our 2/2s. Let's see if our opponent wants to fatal push down a zombie. We need to find a Fraying Sanities. Savage Stomp does go get a land. And decides not to attack in. So that is fortunate for us. I guess we'll do another Hour of Promise. We also have a Ministry of Inquiries here, so that we can cast. And at this point, I think I might just get Botanical Sanctum. Oh, we'll get some Rivulets. And I do want my Cycling Lens now, I'd assume. Or we have plenty to mill, right? Yeah, I'll just get 2 Rivulets. I want to attack, but at the same time I don't. So I think we just have to hold tight for Fraying Sanities. We do have some decent blockers here. I was afraid of that card, but we can block on this dinosaur if we need to. Yeah, we'll double block here. I don't want him to have another land, I don't believe. Rogue Refiner's good. It gives us something to do. And put out another Scavenger Grounds. Unfortunately, it's an Attune. And now we have all the lands. Still don't think I start the mill with the Navigator's Ruin. I want to use my resources a little more wisely. We will start cracking the Rivulets, though. Maybe I should attack there. But this gives me more of a defensive position. Ribbons is getting very, very scary. I do have to conserve my life total there. Another Ranging Raptors. That one does have haste as well. I might actually throw that in front of Rogue Refiner. And there's the Drover. Okay, so we'll trade, I believe. Gives me kind of weird attacks. Or I could take the damage there and attack him with Rogue Refiner. I think that's actually better. Take the 5. Because I do want an attacker. Vraska's Contempt and a Ripjaw. It's another 4. But we're at the mercy of a crack back. We need to draw into some good cards here. That was not one of them. We'll cycle it away. That also was not one of them. I think we're out of lands. I have to mill here. There's no choice about it. So we put us down to down to 31 cards. Yeah, we're just not gonna get there in time. Unfortunately, I think we need to get rid of the graveyard for that cut ribbons. And if there's another alpha in hand, I think I just die here. Another Savage Stomp. Any way to pump up my opponent's cards. Vraska's Contempt doesn't quite do it. Because we go to a... Oh, there's another cut ribbons. We go to a 1. Or 2. We go to a 2. And there's the other Drover. So 27 cards. We need a Fraying Sanities off the top. So 23 cards left. All right, here goes nothing. Fraying Sanities or Navigator's Ruin. I don't know if Ruin does it. Hour of Promise. That does not do it either. Gives us blockers, but not enough. So, let's see. 4, 8, 12 is all I can do. And then we die. We die to the crackback, so... Flood was real there. Maybe instead of exiling the graveyard, we'd have another 4, 4, 8, 12, and then we'd have 2 more and 2 more. Because right now I have only access to 12 cards I can mill. Nope, not going to do it. We're just a little ways off each game. I mean, we have been having some trouble with either too many lands or not enough lands. Harvesters I still think are pretty good in this one. I'm not quite certain if the... I'm not going to bring the Scavenger again with that much hate for it. We'll bring in the Confiscation Coups though. And then again, Navigator Ruin, I don't see myself attacking in, so we need to play this kind of longer route. We'll take out 2 of the promises. And I want to keep in the Longtusk Cubs because they can get... I guess my opponent's keeping in Vraska's Contempt, but they could easily take it out. And I guess just 2 with Aethers? Call that good? The Cub could be the weak link in this one too for taking out the... Because it's hard for me to do... It just gets big in this deck. We're back to this. I'm going to keep it just because we do have the Fraying Sanities. Not happy with the... we cut 2 of the Hour Promises and drew both of them. But they will be good if we can get to that 5th land. So I'd love something like Attune with Aether, yeah, or land next turn, and then start getting like the Rogue Refiners. That's the best we can hope for. Another Fraying Sanities is good, but at the moment it's just kind of meh. I don't want to use a Winds of Rebuke too. I'd rather use a Shielded Aether because with double Fraying Sanities, the Winds can even be a very, very powerful mill strategy. But if we miss our land drop here, I don't know if we can come back. All right, land off the top. Hey, we got it. So we'll start the Fraying Sanities. And next turn I would still like another land because we want to do another Fraying Sanities. And we want to do... yeah, and then have the mana for Hour of Promise because we can mill out our opponent very, very quickly here. Attune would be perfect because Attune would give us the mana for the shielded Aetherborn. Rogue Refiner as well would. So Rogue Refiner would draw us a card plus draw us another card off the shielded Aetherborn to try to hit that land drop. Duress is probably going to take the other Fraying Sanities, I'd assume. Which was pretty good. But my opponent, my opponent's not progressing here. I think that it needs to be progressing. And we have the 1. 1 is enough for a win condition. And I might now just Winds of Rebuke back on the Drover to set my opponent back. Okay, so I will play this into play tapped. And yeah, we are going to chuck back. Double Duress goes to the graveyard. That kind of sucks, but sure. And we shouldn't have any dead draws because we got rid of the Hour of Promises. My opponent's struggling to find a green source now. Can't even cast the Drover. And so if we draw anything here, it's fine. Well, yeah, even the Harvester is fine here because it gives me the energy to draw a card. And there we go. And it's a tap land, which is fine because we didn't have any use for it to come into play on tap. Now we have the Hour of Promises, and that should be game unless my opponent can get rid of the Fraying Sanities. So another black source. My opponent didn't have anything to do with it last time. Hub. Now we're kind of getting... I just want some life here. That was the main reason for attacking in. Yeah, my opponent missed the sources again. And unfortunately, the Fraying Sanity happens after the discard. So it's not going to do anything. And then the discard happens. Or, okay, goes after the trigger. That's fine, though. We don't even need it. Well, when it rains, it pours. We wanted the land. Then, of course, we tutor for lands, and now we get all lands. We'll get 2 Rivulets. And funny, because we could probably win this by damage. But most likely we'll end up milling our opponent off. And there's the scoop, because missed another green source. So we really won that by just bouncing back a green source. So, Captain Vraska's Contempt. I'm glad my opponent brought in like Duresses. It's not... I want the Attunes. I'm just going to keep 1 Hour of Promise in this particular one. I think we need to get to... Kept in a Braids, kept in a lot of those type of cards. Meltdowns still seem pretty good. Maybe I don't need Harvester. Maybe Harvester's just a liability. Yeah, I'm going to take out the Harvesters, just put in Hour of Promise. Just 2 of them. Not going to bring in the Deathgorger Scavenger. It works versus Cut Ribbons, but I don't know if I need it. Possibly I could put in a 1 Navigator's Ruin. I think I might need to go down the mount of Navigator's Ruins, because a lot of times they're not that great in multiples, because you'd rather have something to kind of protect. I think I'm going to go for a damage route off the start here. I want to make my opponent uncomfortable with life total. Huh. Yeah, we'll probably just bounce that back. I hate to use it this way, but we're also getting energy from the Cub. And the Cub becomes a 4/4. We'd have the Fraying Sanities, though, that can just... But then I can get a Desert into play tapped here as well, which is more important. I think just... Yeah, I'd rather put some pressure on my opponent. So Ripjaw, so okay, that's fine. Because now we will switch and go with the Fraying Sanities. Missed a land drop last turn, but has plenty of lands to do. Appetite, huh? Well, that's annoying. And the dress just plain misses. That's nice. And that is going to hurt, because now my opponent is really in control. I think we'll cycle away. Could bounce it back and get in for some damage. Is that what I want to do? I think so. So can we get there with damage? 6 cards, though, still in my opponent's hand. We know what one of them is. A Raptor. Nope, going to go for the Raging. That does take away my ability to attack in. But we do draw the Aether Meltdown, so actually not. All right, just going to go for the Raptor. We'll kill it. I guess that's okay. It goes and gets a land, but that is fine. If Ripjaw comes down here, Ronus. We'll melt it down. I think actually a card is more important here than the counters on the Cub. The Ripjaw is going to draw a card. It's still, I think, worthwhile. Get it out of there. Putting out another Cub. And we'll see where this takes us. Drawing card might be the most efficient way, because we do have like Confiscation Coups we can draw into, things like that. All right, so that one is a little bit tough, because my opponent can definitely, on the backswing, interesting. Fraying Sanities comes down. We don't have a mill strategy at the moment, though, without energy. But we're looking good here. Could be another Appetite in my opponent's hand. Another Raptors. Not too worried about the Raptors. Ronus is a pain, though. We do have a good mill strategy going on here. And make him pump into? Yes. Hopefully it's not another Appetite, because we are going to kill. Down to 25 cards. Uh-oh, there's a Cut Ribbons now in there with plenty of mana. So we do need some luck here with Midstream Inquiries. Will definitely do it. Allows for another couple activations. So we just need to kind of stabilize here. It's where we want to be. However, Ronus is a huge problem. Then I think we have the win. We just need to block enough. Ooh, maybe not. I only have the energy for... And that's a huge cut ribbons. So everything coming in, we need to block Ronus with the 1-2. Whoops, wrong one. And block here and here, I would assume. And see how opponent reacts. Because there is that cut ribbons for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But my opponent has to use some cards here. And that's less damage to pump through the Cub. I think I have him milled if they can't take care of the Minister. Needs to put it on the Drover to do maximum damage. And now my opponent only has 3 mana to work with. So, we end up only taking 3 for 5, 6, 7, 8. And the Allosaur goes to the graveyard, or the Registar Alpha goes to the graveyard. Which is relevant. So it needs to be the Appetite. Appetite is the last card my opponent needs in hand. If it's not, I think we win. Yep. So Mill gets there. And we get another Rivulet for funsies. That would have been a great top deck if we needed it. Pass it up. And kaboom! I don't think there's any instant speed that can do it. And we win against Dinosaurs, a very aggressive deck. I think my opponent just brought in too much ways to try to stop our combo. Too many like duress type cards. The miss on the dress was huge. But this is how Mill works. Try to just slow it down and Mill. Fraying Sanity is so much better Navigator Ruin. I don't know, maybe a 1 of Navigator Ruin should be the choice. But we're stuck in the league, so we can't change it up. We'll go on to the next match. Match 3. Yes, we'd like to play first. Very good hand, no creature, but it's keepable. We have the Winds, the Fraying Sanity. Do you know what? I think we want more cards like Winds rather than Navigator's Ruin. A 1 of is probably correct. And a more... Is there any other mill type based cards? And there's not really. There's like a one that works with zombies milling, but we don't have a lot of zombies, so... Alright, so we have no comes into play tap lands, so let's get rid of the one that possibly can come into play tap later on. 2 Rivulets. Yeah, because all we really need is the Fraying Sanity. And so maybe to dig for the Fraying Sanity is better. So cards like even Ops could be better. I'm not going to show my opponent what I'm doing at the moment. I always like seeing planes because usually they're slower. So going to against a deck without a 1-drop planes usually means it's like the tokens list. I'm in a friendly queue. I chickened out with the mill deck and put it in friendly rather than competitive. I think that's why we've seen 2 non-tier decks first. Ooh, cycling that cast out is awesome because that's definitely a card for our Fraying Sanities. We do have the Winds of Rebuke for the cast out though. And there's the hidden stockpiles, but we'll just throw that in. And we'll do Navigator's Ruin here. So the Shielded Aether was a good draw. I can't remember if this helps my opponent or not. And we get rid of another cast out. Awesome. Yeah, so it does help my opponent with the Sunscourge Champions and the... But 2 cast outs, I think really the only cards that can give us issues. Hidden Stockpile is not good until the noise per session. By that point, my opponent's going to be very, very milled. So next turn, it's going to be the Fraying Sanities attack in. And then the following turn, we have Winds, which is going to mill additional 2 cards, plus whatever we've milled. So, yeah, I think that the one of Navigator Ruins is correct. All right, so the Hidden Stockpiles is online. Other than this, my opponent effectively is helping me mill. There is mana for the Vraska coming up soon, so we do have to worry about that. Although we can return our own card if need be. But there's a Scavenger Grounds, which is nice. We'll throw it out. Throw out the Fraying Sanity. And now it's 8 cards per turn. Always nice when your opponent has to read cards. Too bad it's not when Shielded Aetherborn is blocked or is blocked, or blocks or is blocks. Blocked. I know it's a 0/4, so, but we'll pass it up. My opponent needs another cast out to really go crazy here. We need to... Navigator Ruin needs to happen first. So Fraying Sanity is what you put on bottom. Yep, there we go. So the 4 goes to the bottom, or 4 goes in graveyard, another 4. So my opponent should be down from 42 to 34. 46 to 34. Cracking things like even Renegade Map is an additional card. We are worried about Vraska, but I think I can actually... Oh, so why isn't it stacking? It should be stacking. Oh, I guess it's reading it when the trigger goes on the stack. So yeah, that does make Navigator's Ruin a lot worse. There's one Vraska down. Next turn, we do have a Rivulet and a Winds. 1 Vraska and 2 cast outs down, so we're in great shape. And Winds can take care of anything. Anointer Procession here. It can, yeah, Winds is very strong in this matchup. So that's what we need for mill to happen is like one more control card like Winds. A counter in mill, is there one that exists at the moment? I don't think there is. Even counter spells in the form of Navigator's Ruin might be better. I don't know. I think I need more control in this deck because I think Fraying Sanity is enough. Navigator's Ruin is just... I know I keep going on loop with that, but just my observations over the games we've played. Gonna go finish on the Shielded Aetherborn. Is mildly annoying. Another Fumigate gone. There's another Navigator's Ruin, which I think I will actually play. 34 cards left in my opponent's deck. Yeah, now these don't stack either. That's really awkward. Vraska can't come out this turn. Might as well. I'm sure my opponent will just sack it. Really, gonna allow me to have an energy that is actually relevant. But there is another start finish, right? No, there is not in the board. Yeah, don't care about Annoyed Procession. Not a big deal. Gets 2 counters. So Navigators are going to be better if they sit at the beginning of your, or at the end of your attack step. I think that would be better. Rather than at the beginning of your end step. At the end of your attack step, if you attacked with a creature this turn. I know you can cast this post. Or what they should have done is given this flash. So it could work the way that it wants to, and still have synergy at the Fraying Sanity. Alright, so no cards if my opponent goes to the graveyard this turn. Sure. There's a Minister of Inquiries. Do I have enough here? No, I don't, because I can't sacrifice 2. So I think we'll just go Minister of Inquiries. Again, since this does not stack. Or do I... No, there's no way I stack it the other way. I'd rather run my Winds. So it does say 4 cards. Why didn't it work the first one? Or am I just... See if it does 8 cards after this. So it goes to 26. So it should put 8 cards in the graveyard. Okay, it worked that time. Did I just miscalculate the first time? So it is working how I wanted it to. So we could have just Winds there and got a few more cards, but we're fine. Gets the other Vraska. The Rivulet's actually more intensive on getting rid of cards, too. I think Winds is still better. We can only cast 1 is what I'm... referring to here. Three cards left in my opponent's hand. I think all the Fumigates are gone. There's a lot of hidden stockpiles left in my opponent's deck. 3 cast outs are in the graveyard. Vraska is annoying. Which enchantment would you like to kill? Has to go for the Fraying Sanities here. But we'll just bounce it. So it has trips on the Vraska in this deck. Does not even get a treasure from that because if the trigger fizzles, so my opponent's also not going to get the hidden stockpile. That worked out very well. And we have 8 milling next turn. We actually have 11 milling next turn. We can kill our opponent without even casting Fraying Sanities here, so. So that puts it down to 12, 4, 4. No, we don't have the mana. We're one off on mana, so we do need the Fraying Sanities. Alrighty. Go to the sideboard. This does get a lot weaker because my opponent gets to get rid of some very, very good cards. I think that we don't need like Aether Meltdowns. The Confiscation Coup is kind of awkward. The Deathgorger Scavenger is actually not bad as it... The Winds of Rebuke is the good card for sure to bring in. And so I don't know if we need to necessarily take anything else out or bring in the Deathgorger Scavengers. I think the Deathgorger Scavengers might just be better than Shielded Aether Thief. And then this can draw us cards if we need them to. I think I'm just going to bring in 2 Deathgorger Scavenger. No, there's no way we can win this based on life because our opponent just gains a ton of life. Other than this does eat away problematic cards. So I think this is a little bit better. Running the Deathgorgers, but 2 is probably the right number. I think that Our Promise is good in here. Maybe Navigator's Ruin is just weak. Yeah, I'm going to just go with the 2 of, and then we'll bring in the Shielded Aetherborns. At least 2 of them. We don't want too many because they're not the greatest in this particular match. So Vraska is... Ooh, never mind. Supreme Wills do need to come in. Ha! Let's just take out... Yep, the Shielded Aetherborn are weak. Hopefully I got that submitted. Completely forgot I even had counterspells in this. Because Supreme Will is really, really good against both Vraska and Anointed Procession. It's very, very tough for my opponent to win without the Anointed Procession. Or they have to have multiple hidden stockpiles or at least 1 Anointed Procession. I know it's just a matter of time, but the thing is if our opponent wants to play the time route, we're a mill deck, so... Yeah. You know what? I think Longtusk Cubs are actually the weak link. We'll resubmit this. This is a very good hand. If my opponent took out a bunch of removal, these ministers are just going to go wild here. We are missing a green source, but eventually we will find it for the Attune. I don't know, we could have taken the Attune out and kept the Longtusk Cub in. It's just, I don't think we need the amount of creatures. Because usually my opponents don't have enough to take out, like the Fumigates. They're going to bring in Duresses, they're going to bring in Lost Legacies, they're going to bring in... And Lost Legacy is actually not the greatest card versus this deck. It takes their turn 3. It allows me to still have win cons with the Rivulet. A lot of times we do have enough deserts to get there, or between ministers and deserts. This particular deck has cards that put cards in graveyard, so effectively helps us with our mill. Refiner is good if we can find that. And I believe that they don't run a lot of forests in this deck either. And so if we get a lucky mill on the forest, it's hard for them to actually tap for the green. I could be wrong there, though. Duress is fine. It only takes the wins. So I'll trade a card for a card. It effectively is doing what I want it to do. Could take the Attune, but I think the Attune's terrible to take here. That's not what my opponent wanted to see. So anything that slows down my opponent I think is good enough. And Legion Landing is kind of weak versus the Ministry of Inquiries. And another Rivulet. Unfortunately, not what we wanted. And I'm just going to go ahead and mill right now. Got a hidden stockpiles in Lost Legacy. Glad I milled. So 2 key cards. Of course, we want to hit the Fumigates. Ninja Priest is very, very weak. Doesn't do a thing versus us. Love to hit a green source here. I think we just cycle this away. There we go. We found it. And I still think we want blue sources, just because it's easier with the Rivulets. And that's that. And I'll keep these back for blocking. The reason why I milled first last time was I had the blocker. This one I do need 2 blockers. All right, so far so good. Another Legion's Landing is a way to flip a Legion's Landing, but it will cost him a couple vampires in the process. And of course, that's... My opponent still seems like they are mana starved. And so we'll help them out by milling some of their lands. Well, there's a Plains and a Lost Legacy. And another Plains in his stockpile and a Duress. Duress, of course, is dead. But, I mean, there's 2 hidden stockpiles, which are their win con. Anything in their graveyard that I care about getting rid of? No. So the Deathgorger is just not as good as a Rogue Refiner here. Hub, Island. Doesn't matter what I run here. I guess getting out the deserts just so they can be out is the right call. Oh, found the green source. Oh, this is definitely worth it to me. I mean, it ramps up towards what my opponent wants to be doing. However, I get rid of Anointer Priest and all the Lifelinkers. So whatever that's worth. Does give my opponent the land. Might be what my opponent's looking for as a Fumigate. Down to 34, though. There's a Vraska. Haven't hit the other hidden stockpile yet. Haven't hit any of the Anointed Processions either. Still nothing I care about killing out of my opponent's graveyard, except for Anointed Priest, which we'll do. I don't think I exile my opponent's graveyard. I could. Oh, that just makes it easy for me. We'll bounce it back. So put out the other desert. Tap our lands correctly. Do this right now. So that nothing can happen. Another Vraska, or cast out, and an Angel of Sanctions goes to the graveyard. So we'll definitely eat that. Might as well attack with the Rogue Refiner. I don't think there's any point not to. Haven't seen Fumigates yet. Get another Vraska, get a ton of lands. Another Anointed Procession. Opponent's down to 2 cast outs and 1 Vraska. And Vraska at this point isn't the greatest because we do have the cards. We have another Hub to get its energy. So Fumigate could happen here, though. And we have 4, 8, 12 on the mill. Nope, just Anointed Processions. Don't care about that card. Maybe Legion Land comes out here. Nah, I think we got the mill now. Our Promise is fine. We'll throw out the Aether Hub. Give us some more options to mill to eat specific card. There's a third Vraska. This is over. Kind of funny because I think we have it on the aggro next turn if my opponent didn't have a card. So even if Fumigate happens here, we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. We have 20 mil out of just our deserts. And Regal Caracal is going to give 3 cats. Or 4. That's going to give a lot of cats, but my opponent's milled next turn. So it doesn't matter. We get another Aether Hub. I guess it's not quite milled. 15. There's another Lost Legacy. Is pointless at this point. 15, and we can do just a few. So my opponent didn't even need cast outs and things like that. We're out of energy for the Minister of Inquiries. I can easily just block on one. The Dunes is pretty awkward. But we'll take my opponent's turn to Dunes. And it has to be sorcery speed to do it. Angel of Sanctions is very, very weak. Should take a Minister of Inquiries. I don't care. My opponent cannot do enough on the swing here. Brought in Regal Caracals, huh? Block, 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 block. And we'll finish off the meal there with the Rivulets. My opponent scoops it up. And so the Fumigates did come out just for some Angels and some Regal Caracals. So did have a pretty good game plan of what we're doing, but we pulled that off. We'll go on to the final match. Match 4. We will play first. Not a bad hand. We'll keep it. We have the Hour of Promise as well as the Attune. So I've also thought about going into Soul Tie with this list. I think that switching out Longtusk Cubs for Glint Sleeve Siphoners and possibly putting in the Gonti's Machinations, which just helps with a little bit of life, as well as the ability to generate that energy, because every turn you can tap a Rivulet, or in this case we can run the other desert. You can give a card -3/3. Or is it 2 counters or 3 counters? Maybe it's just 2 counters. Is actually something that can keep these ministers just continuing every turn to mill. So it's just some food for thought. Also, black does get some pretty sweet cards in the form of like Lost Legacies and Dispossesses, things like that, which also are mill cards in and of themselves, as they generally can either mill 4 or mill 3. So and get rid of potential win cons. So we're just going to start off here with the good old Minister of Inquiries. Pass turn. And then we got the Attune, and we have all the mana we need. No shock on the Inquiries, so that's good. And do I just want to cycle that away, or would I rather Attune? I think I just Attune. You know the blue source? Pass turn. Haven't gone up against Ramanup yet. 2 brews. Absent tokens, and now Ramanup. So see if the Earthshaker Kenra comes out here. Milling actually does sort of help my opponent out. Alright, carries the Sky Raiders actually. Not the worst card we could be facing. We also get rid of a Lightning Strike and a Shock, which are 2 cards we don't want to get rid of our win con here. Rivulet. So this is something we will cycle now. And there's a Navigator's Ruin, which we've talked about this plenty of times, how I do not like it anymore. So we'll put the Rivulet out. That helps us with our promise. So I'm going to be taking some damage next turn. We also get a few more mills in. So I'm wondering if Confiscation Coup is actually good in this matchup. Takes care of Hazoret, but at that point, are we too low? The Scavenger is going to be great. I'll bring in Cubs just as they're good little blockers. We have a lot of ways that can really slow down this red deck. I still want to figure out a good game life card. There is one that gains 5 life. But most of the game life was shifted over to the green. Or over to the white, excuse me. Isn't there the one that actually, the green card that gains a lot of life? I can't remember what it does, like 8 life? Soulscar Mage. Sure. And the Kenra. Get rid of some more juicy cards here. Raid Mountain Beaumont Courier. Okay. So we don't really have anything to do next turn. Taking a significant little hit here. Fraying Sanities is kind of cool. Yeah, Fraying Sanities is fine. We can actually erase this now. Can I wait one more turn, though? We have the Hour Promise will give us blockers. Can it go? That's actually fine. So it's going to give the Prowess trigger. Stops me from blocking. I'm going to take some significant damage here. Opponent's going to mill another 4, so we're halfway there. But we're down to a 7, so I mean we could easily die next turn by just not having enough blockers. So 37, now our promise will be nice to grab. Yeah, I think I need to put the Exile land in here, as I think it's a very, very decent little blocker. And the good news is we do have what we need here. So we'll get 2 Rivulets. I don't think I need 2. I think I need 1 and another blue source. Okay, let's hope for the best here. But this is going to be tough to block what I need. Crop Captain's okay. See if it exerts. It does, so we don't need to worry about it. So we block here. So 3, 4, 5. We don't want to block either one of these. So then we block the Monkey and the Kenra. Oh, can't block. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have to block their Shaker Kenra. So go down to 1. So there's so many things that can just kill me outright. $35. Don't think we're going to quite make it there. Another Fraying Sanity. I don't think does it. We get attacking with the zombie. Nope, I think we're just going to be 1 mana short of being able to win. So we get another Fraying Sanity. And then go Navigator's Ruin, but it's not going to be enough. We do 8, 16. Ah, yeah, we need that 1 mana. So 4 is still the same. Yep, we'd be 1 short. This is going to go 8, and then, yep. So 1 turn off. As my opponent is milled next turn. Okay, so Navigator Ruin is bad. We can't afford the resources for it. The Scavenger is perfect. The Harvester is perfect. And the Meltdowns are really, really good. So we need to make room. I think a number of our promises need to come out. The Winds of Rebuke, I think, is actually quite weak in this match. And at this point, I think we can take out an Hour of Promise. Maybe, yeah, just 1 Hour of Promise. I think we do like the Hour of Promises, though. They stabilize, give us blockers, and find us the win con. But maybe Navigator's Ruin needs to be in the sideboard. And we can bring in versus matchups that we aren't going to be worried about our creatures and we can attack in. But going over to Sultai does look very, very interesting. The Cubs, I think, are just better for Glintsley Siphoners, just slightly better. You could put the Eternalize discard card. Wouldn't be bad. And that'd be pretty sweet to put in. We could put in Scarab God, for example, as well in the sideboard as an alternate win condition. But I don't know if that's the way we want to go either. Yes, we'd like to play first. Yeah, this is good. We have what we need. Typically, I like blue sources just because they activate the Rivulets. Soulscar Mage. Speaking of Rivulets, I think I actually will check one out. We also get to draw a card next turn when this attacks in. Hoping for like an Earthshaker Kenra here. Not only will it miss its ability, but we'll also get to block it, only take 1. And at that point we'll be pretty far ahead. That I don't like as much because this could lead to the Shielded Aether Thief dying. But still worthwhile. Okay. Well, I guess my opponent has 1 damage on it, so a Lightning Strike could happen, a Braid could happen. A Rigging Runner. Sure. Aether Hub. It's better than nothing. We can cycle away. We probably will end up cycling away. Nah, we get Fraying Sanities out here. I think it's one of the key cards you need to have on turn 3. Still at a healthy 20 on turn number 3, though, which is good. And we have Hour of Promise coming down slightly after that. The damage is annoying on the Sun-Scorched Desert. Crop Captain is also annoying. See if the Exert does happen. Most likely will. So I'm taking 6. I'm going to go ahead and draw a card. Another Hour Promise, which will be good, but not what we wanted to see. All right, where's our Meltdowns? We need Meltdowns and Rogue Refiners, things like that. Scavenger doesn't do anything at the moment. Do I want to... Yeah, I think I'd rather cycle a land than put a Scavenger out. Okay, that was good, actually. Let's see if Hazard comes down here. Another Soulscar Mage. Perfect. And we get some energy. Gets us a Longtusk Cub, which is just a blocker. We're not going to run it this turn, as we'll go the Hour Promise. Aether Meltdown. We could do Meltdown and Cub. No, it's Promise. Anything to ramp up? Get 2 Revulets, and we do have the zombies. We do have blockers. This is probably miserable for my opponent to attack into. Could have a spell, but I think my opponent would have used it to kill off one of the Aetherborns. Haven't milled our opponent at all at the moment, but we also did not have the mill cards until now with the Rivulets. So 5 mana, could be Glorybringer coming down. Could be Hazoret. Yeah, Hazoret's not as bad. See if the Crop Captain's going to exert. Okay, so Hazoret is going to... Ooh, this is interesting. I could leave Hazoret. We could kill off a Soulscar Mage, if it matters. And block everything else. Block here. Block here. Block here. Take 6. Gives us a card for the Deathgorger Hydrodistilla. Thing is, my opponent does have that last card in hand being a spell. We're in a world of hurt here, but I think it's fine. Keep all of our blockers. Go to a 7. My opponent's going to mill an additional card, which isn't very relevant. This turn we have Aether Meltdown to throw down, and a Ministry of Inquiries, and I think at this point we need to gain some life, so Maybe not the hub here. We'll do a Rivulet. So we're going to go Scavenger, which eats Crop Captain, puts us back up to 9. We'll go Minister of Inquiries. And have the Aether Meltdown ready. Do you know what? I probably... No, I don't want to draw a card. I wouldn't leave it back as a blocker. Okay, advances blasting cannons. Helps us mill. Decides not to run in, so we'll just use the Meltdown here. And we will also draw a card because I think we have enough activations with the Minister of Inquiries. Speak of another Aether Hub. I think gaining 2 life here is actually more important. And that's fine. You can first strike it down. I am okay with that trade. We just need to get ourselves up to the life total that we can manage. And I will throw another Hour of Promise. Get some more deserts. Mountain gets exiled, so it doesn't do anything. And I think we got him locked. Desert of the Indomitable. Huh. I think we'll just go Botanical Sanctum here. I believe we have enough here. Maybe not. No, we don't quite have enough. I think we're... off. Four, 8, 12. Nope, that's... Yeah, but with the exile, we win. Okay, yeah. So 15 cards goes to the graveyard. And the exile happens. Gonna sack a desert, doesn't matter. Gonna Lightning Strike. Was the last card in hand. You only do 2 damage with the Ramming Up Ruins. Okay. Go ahead and submit it. Oh, this is rough. This is really rough. But I'm going to keep it because it does have the Shielded Aether Thief. Soulscar Mage. So I think I'm going to put in the desert tapped. The Aether Harvester is really good in this match too. Yeah, unfortunately, it's going to screw up our curve. Minister is going to come out a turn late. This deck is just so good on the draw or on the play. They're ramming up red. Rigging Runner. Man, we draw the Hour Promises. Maybe it was another Hour Promise cut. At least get an energy here, which might be relevant if we get like an Aether Hub. And a Magma Spray does happen. Puts the counters on the card, as well as kills our poor. Shield. Another Soulscar Mage, but all these are getting pretty rough to deal with. Well, we need... We absolutely need to draw into a green source. We draw into the green source. Next time we have Longtusk Cub, we have Minister of Inquiries and Cub. We're only taking 4 this turn, or 6 this turn. Yeah, Kenra. All right, let's see if we can draw into a green source. Close. We do get Accrue the Harvester, though. Whatever that's worth. Last Magma Spray happens. But we missed the green. Do get to gain a little bit of life back. Green source would be amazing next turn with the Rogue Refiner. And that's all she wrote. Do we die on the backswing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Unfortunately, I think that was still a keepable hand. I don't think we mull it. It was perfect with the Aethersphere Harvester. Oh, we die now with the ramming up. So the double Magma Spray gets the job done. No Aether Meltdowns, no... man, these Hour Promises. Rough. But we're 24 lands with 4 Attune with Aethers, so and the majority of our lands do tap for green. We just did not hit one that turn. They were too far down. End up with a 2-2 finish. I'll play the last match on my channel in a few days after the videos go live. If you're interested in that, come check out Rogue Deck Builder, YouTube/Rogue Deck Builder for the final match. And we'll make some updates to this. First of all, the Navigator needs to go in the sideboard. Second of all, I think black might be worthwhile looking into. Other than that, the deck runs pretty solid. I think we would hit a red source, or a green source here. My opponent's out of cards. We drop the Rogue Refiner or the Longtusk Cub. Probably the Rogue Refiner. And then we have the Scavenger after that to start eating away the graveyards and gaining us some life, and hopefully just crewing that Harvester and gaining that initial life per turn. So it wasn't looking too bad for us there. Anyway, this has been Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching.